My role today is just to navigate and take you back the memory lane on the establishment of Womesa in 2007. Just a bit of background without wasting time, the International Maritime Organization is the agency of the UN which is responsible and tasked to actually handle the United Nations affairs in international maritime transport. And the IMO, as the agency of the UN, was tasked in 2007 and is still tasked even today to achieve the 2030 UN Agenda for Sustainable Development and the sustainable goals, in particular goal number 5, to achieve gender equality and to empower all women and girls to be able to participate in the maritime space. Hence, it was in 2007 that the IMO, through its subcommittee, actually adopted the theme of empowering women in the maritime community. The IMO has established a subcommittee, and I think I've mentioned this one, which is called the IMO Gender Program in 2007. And the objectives of this committee, amongst others, was to ensure that there is participation, there is entry of previously disadvantaged women in the maritime space. Not only that, but to drive a program that is clear on the promotion of the maritime industry, to also as well identify those who actually were in the maritime space but wanted to grow to the higher levels in the maritime space. Not only that, we identified that there was another category of women who were outside the maritime space but who were aspiring to cross over and participate in the maritime space. So a clear program on careers promotion, a clear program on the promotion of opportunities within the maritime space was actually developed. And as well, it was also in 2007 where we decided as Womesa to actually form our own committee, and we had Unensi, who was actually the chairman of the committee, with our Womesa offices established in Mombasa and in Kenya. I'm not going to waste time on the nations who participated, because the minister has really assisted us with the countries who participated in the Womesa. Other than to emphasize that, as part from the IMO's initiative, those who have been in the maritime, Captain, you will recall that it was also in 2009 in Durban, where there were all African countries who assembled in Durban to launch the African Transport Maritime Charter. So the African Transport Maritime Charter enabled us to actually expedite and drive forward the agenda of women participation in the maritime space. Ms. P is still participating in PAMESA, and at the same time, there is a Port Management Association of the Eastern and Southern Africa, and one of the subcommittees of PAMESA at that time was Womesa. So at least we were nicely cushioned as women to actually drive the program of transformation and the inclusion of women in the maritime space. But it will be remiss of me, Honorable Minister, if I don't acknowledge the role and the support that we received from the political leadership and from the administrative leadership at that time. I can stand in front of you and indicate that the minister at that time, who was Minister Jeff Khatebe, supported by the Director General at that time, Ms. Mpumi Mpofu, they actually gave us their best support. And at the same time, we also received support from the then Minister of Public Enterprises, Minister Alec Elwin, together with her DG at the time, Ms. Portia Debbie, and who is currently the GCE for Transnet now. We received a lot of support from them. Also as well, we received a lot of support from Mr. Tsietsi Mokhele, who was the Chief Executive of SAMSA at that time, supported by Ayanda Mngadi, Selma Onunsindiso, and the other ladies who were within SAMSA. And as well, we received support from the then Chief Executive of the South African Port Regulator, Mr. Riyad Khan. And as well, a lot of support was received from the then Chief Executive of TNPA, Mr. Dao More, who then delegated to Captain Rufus Ligala together with Usus Lunga to work with us in achieving the transformation in the port sector. I don't want as well not to acknowledge the role that was played by Mr. Paul McCloms, who is currently at AMSOL, the Chief Executive of AMSOL, together with the shipping industry, Captain Sano, working through SASOA at that time to really assist us to drive the program of the women. Not only that, I would like to also take an opportunity today to also acknowledge the women who actually play a front or a leading role in the establishment of the South African chapter. The likes of Tato Zause, the likes of Advocate Nosipo Sobekwa, Karen Naidu, Dr. Henriette Van Nicker, Claire Gomes, Ayanda Mgadi, Teresa Williams, Selma Swatch, the Nunzindi So, the Nomkita Mbele, the Debbie, the Norma Sakela, and the others were part of the leading team at that time. And I am excited that some of those women are with us today. They paved the way for us to be where we are today. For me, I take them as pioneers in this industry. Not only ignoring the likes of Ms. Phyllis DeVito and others. And I was saying, Honorable Minister, I think it is time for us to run the race and hand over the baton to the next generation. We are almost, I think all of us now, almost over 50, except Nomkita. I think Nomkita was far younger than us. So I think it is time now to hand over the baton to the next generation. Amongst the initiative that came from the launch of the South African chapter was the review of the bilateral agreement, DDG, between South Africa and Belgium, where we signed an MOU helped by the Department of International Relations at that time. We signed the MOU, and out of that MOU, that is where we actually gave birth to the trainings that are taking place at ANFREL, which we continued as the Department of Transport, working with the SAMSA as an agency of DOT to continue to send people, not only women, but to also send even people and officials within the TNPA, SAMSA, and also other government departments. Also, another initiative that we were rolling out was to work through the IMO to send some of our people to the Malmo University, to also the World Maritime University. Some of us who are here will recall there is a Tengile High School in Pinetown, Durban. We have DDG Ms. Malungile Musuku, who was the beneficiary of those initiatives. Also as well, we were looking at what are the career initiatives that we must drive. We partnered with the SAMSA at that time to aggressively, together with AMSOL, to aggressively promote the maritime industry. And our focus was starting from the primary schools. Because we were looking at that time there was a lot of report from the IMO that there was a shortage of seafarers worldwide. So we then decided to say which nation, seafaring nation, must we benchmark with. We identified the Philippines. And as we identified the Philippines, we looked at their education system. When you're looking at their education system, in as much as they are a maritime nation, but within their education system, they introduced maritime from the primary school up until high school. So the intention was to position South Africa as a maritime nation, but also as a nation that will actually produce seafarers. I'm also excited as well, Honorable Minister, to indicate that TNPA at that time, we were not calling them DTG as TNPA, we were calling them as the authority. So, and we were aggressive about it, that they are the authority. So we were calling them as the authority. They actually embraced that idea. I'm looking at the picture, Honorable Minister, that is being displayed here, of how Captain Rufus Ligala, together with the then leadership, they actually transformed that space, which was a sacred space the space around pilots, around the tag masters. When you're looking at what we have today, Minister, I think in the port of Durban, 2 of my deputy masters are female. You go to the port, of Richards Bay. The harbour master in the port of Richards Bay is a female. We are not only that, it was the initiative of actually men saying we are going to embrace what Womesa is doing, but we're not going to embrace it, we are going to translate it into action. Captain, thank you so much. A round of applause. And Honourable Minister, I am treading carefully that I don't get into the space to say what happened. But I can honestly say it was the change of leadership. I think sometimes as institutions, when we change leadership, there's no continuity. So I think that is without preempting what the commissions are going to identify when they're looking at the root cause analysis. But I think fundamentally that's what actually caused the drop in the ocean. But we are not giving up, Honourable Minister, but would really like to sincerely appreciate you, the role that you are playing, even yourself knowing how busy you are to be here to actually grace us. And thanks as well to the Department of Transport. Thank you so much, DDG, for thinking that this initiative is really important to be revived. We thank you so much. But the message that I'm giving all of us as I'm about to sit down is that this morning, I am just getting to get a car. In fact, I'm not driving, so Thokozani is driving. So I'm following Thokozani, and it's raining, so I want to get into this door. This door is locked in one of these hiring companies. The big door, it's locked, it's raining, right? And they've put in a dust bin to actually block the door so that we use the other entrances. And I am kind of like thinking, have we reduced our country to this level that an international airport will, for whatever reason, use a dust bin to close the door? And I don't want to be political, but I think our country really needs us to stand up, Dr. T. Our country really needs design thinkers. Our country needs the innovators. Our country requires inventors. Our country requires system thinkers. Our country requires problem solvers. Because I'm asking, could it be that they've reduced the maintenance budget? That is why the doors could not even be closed. But I think that was unacceptable. I wish you well, and thank you so much.